how's it going? I felt like making a video near 2 a.m. in the morning because I'm having a little bit of difficulty getting some sleep. Uh, Next, still an issue. Yeah, well, I feel as though that it's in a metaphorical type of way from a lousy movie, the Dragon Ball series, the Broly movie. Don't ask about Super, I don't watch it. Uh, anyway, in the first Broly movie, he has a power control thing that inhibits him from becoming super strong and becoming a Super Saiyan and just essentially destroying everything in his path. His father put that on him, and that's kind of the theme of the movie. And there are certain things that really make him mad, like Kakarot, Goku, and anything essentially, in his way gets destroyed until Goku defeats him. The thing about my sore throat is it's definitely holding me back. There's no doubt about it. There's no other way. Um, with that gone, obviously, I'll be back up to optimum. I'll be working out. Um, I'll be going out and about. However, discipline is very important. And the thing is, there are people out there, I don't have to name the types of people, but there are people out there who will choose to believe, oh, if he doesn't have that thing stopping him, with all these unresolved underlying issues, basically where they shafted me or caused me problems, and they act like, well, if they don't talk about it, it doesn't exist. Wrong, asshole. It does exist. Um, that he's referring to me is gonna flip his lid, and there won't be anything stopping him. Not true. Not true. Because that would be the stupid person thing to do. Like, I've seen people who, have anger management issues, who, figure if they get really mad, they can get out of any situation. And, I've been in my situation a long time. I never, well, I did have some anger management issues when I was growing up, but not really, actually. Not in the same context, anyway. Um, it doesn't work. It doesn't make things better, and it's not a proactive way of thinking anyway. Obviously, there are piss off factors, and no person on this planet could honestly say that they like that sort of stuff. However, um, getting really mad about it, especially in the meantime, is not a very good strategy for an involuntary celibate. Um, I realize, at some points I'm going to have to talk to a fair amount of people. I have no idea how many, but a fair amount. And they're going to have things to say that are deliberately going to piss me off. And, obviously, I got to take it with a pinch of salt and remember that they say these things for manipulative reasons. I mean, I don't get a chance to socialize as often as I'd like to. And unfortunately, social media for me, and it's probably more or less the same for anyone else, except they have the luxury of, having a normal social life outside of social media, is that there's probably about 10 topics that get brought up over and over and over again. I don't say that much on any of them, but occasionally I will have an argument with someone and I will point out where they're lying, how they're lying, why they're lying, and I want to hear their rebuttal. I want them to explain themselves. They don't ever want to do that though. They always want to really grind their feet into the ground and act like, oh, this is an anonymous source, blah blah blah, and it's not. It isn't. And that's a whole other topic. Is your everyday civilian, you are not anonymous. You're not. All your information is up there on the internet, whether you like it or not. Unless you were, born in the downtown east side in a dumpster and nobody was informed of your existence. Other than that, um, yeah, your own paperwork. You got uh, pictures of yourself through your school ID, your driver's license, yada yada yada. This is not what the video is going to be about, but I figured I'd mention this. Um, so yeah, you will have quite a number of things to be pissed off about if you're an involuntary celibate, because something you need to know is that while things can or may not be happening in your little world and your little bubble of understanding, depending on what type of involuntary celibate you are, then there are all sorts of types of them. There are some where people regress and they stop thinking and stop doing, and it becomes a circle of not really mentally stable activity. And I know a lot of people thought that about me and wanted to think that about me, but it actually wasn't the truth. Um, I quite often I think quite a lot about a lot of things. And although there are certain themes that I think about more often than others, I try to learn things every day. So I mean, you may see that on my social media, it could get summed up into probably about 10 different subjects um, through the course of the years that I've been making it, but that's not entirely accurate either. Um, yeah. Um, the thing is, the world around said individual is still moving as well. There are things going on, and what you know of the world that's going on around you can be what they tell you it is. So you have to understand that there are people out there that lie and enjoy lying and lie all the time. And, you know, given the social circumstances an involuntary celibate can be in, there are things that it's a sensation of some sorts that they're not conditioned to know how to handle, and it can cause a whole wide range of emotions. And if it's anything like mine, where there's also the physical aspect of it because of medication, and medications can do all kinds of things, and doctors do not inform you what those things are. They want you to tell them, and they don't want to tell you anything at all. And it's like, I got an idea. Fuck off. How about that? Take that for an answer. Fuck off. Um, yeah, because we really do live in a pretend society that it's all about freedom and you can, be who you want to be and that sort of stuff. It's bullshit. It's a fucking totalitarian regime pretending to be the nice guy, and it really isn't. And you'll get your personality type people out there, your Captain America, Superman, Thor, whatever the fuck you want to call them, those type of personalities. And guess what they fail to realize is that most of them, in their big fancy bravado, always does the right thing, there to protect the innocent, blah, 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 and all that sort of stuff. What they fail to realize is in most of their suits, they got a big, huge crack running down their fucking uniform. Um, the crack on the porcelain face of the anonymous guy. They're not good people. They make bad decisions all the time. All the time. It's just they know how to do it so that it's socially acceptable for some reason. Uh, the second, they look at a guy like me, and obviously I got Derek Boogaard jersey. They don't understand the context of why I put Derek Boogaard on a Minnesota Wild jersey. They don't understand my military collection and the way I see it, and the other hobbies that I have. Also like collecting DVDs. So, from the outside looking in, a lot of people speculate going, oh, I bet he's got a lot of horrible DVDs. Actually, not true at all. They're actually quite benign, and I'm quite proud of my collection of DVDs. Um, I got, all sorts of things. Escape from Alcatraz, Van Helsing, um, you know, all sorts of movies. Um, and there's people that go, well, I haven't seen it for myself. I would choose to believe he's got the most horrible, despicable DVD collection going, and it simply isn't true. And people use this as justification for being assholes to involuntary celibates. And this is what they believe and what they choose to believe. Those are two separate things that have to be understood. And, with me, obviously it's easy to go, I choose to believe this or that. Like, I choose to believe that I'm a very handsome man. Um, there's times where it's appropriate to choose what you want to believe. Um, because there's more than one truth to certain subjects. And I'm not a negative person. I don't really think of it negative. But a lot of people look at military stuff and they think, oh, that's so negative, blah 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 blah, and then they turn around and be assholes in different ways, and it's like, yeah, that doesn't make you a better person. It doesn't. And I can't stand the sanctimonious type. I really cannot stand them because they are the biggest frauds going. And you know, uh, there's some who genuinely try, and they do their best and all that, and uh, props to them. But I still don't think they're better people than me. They probably think the same thing, from their perspective. And, they're not wrong for doing that because that's their perspective. However, I don't have to agree with them. Like, there's all kinds of people out there who have different positions in society, and they do beneficial things for people. Whereas me, I gripe about my sore throat on the internet. Uh, I purchase stuff, and I have no interest at all in handing out money to homeless people, peasants, exactly, because part of my mentality is that I kind of need it to make myself feel better about myself, because not having any women around is it's a bit of a bummer. And you know I don't have the real estate in my head to start thinking about the negativity of others. And it's not them being negative for say, it's the negativity of the situation, although a lot of the times it is their negativity um, spreading outward, simply worded differently. And I got to be really careful how I word things, because a lot of people like to take what I say out of context. Like, I don't go out of my way to be a bastard to anyone, but getting back to, I don't know in the future how many people I'm going to have to talk to and explain this situation that I'm in. Um, I don't feel like giving them much information at all. I don't think they deserve it. And I think the wrong sort of people have built encampments around my 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 scene. And I'm not talking about homeless people or anything like that. I'm talking about actual like people in positions in society. It's the only way they can maintain somebody actually being an involuntary celibate, because in the world, things happen. The world is a different place all the time, and it's not that easy to regulate. And the thing is, like, yeah, uh, sore throat, easy for someone to kind of stay at home and that's all that they do. Um, yeah, I mean, there's the hikikomori in Japan who don't want to leave their homes, and sometimes they even become like animals in their own place because the only thing that really talks to them is their computer. And I have made videos about that, about how you can't have that being the only voice that talks to you. It's not hearing voices, it's called seeing something on the damn screen, and it's being talked to you in a manipulative manner. That's not fucking crazy unless the fucking thing that's talking to you is fucking crazy. And oh yeah, believe me, the internet's fucking crazy. I'll tell you that much. I mean, if you don't already know that, you should know it now. And there are other things to consider too. Like, I mean, the situation I'm in, there are actually going to be people that I don't mind that actually helped put me in this situation. And I know that sounds fucked up. That doesn't make any goddamn sense. But the thing is, there are people who are, minions of higher ups, and they will have not really had much of a say in what goes on. They might have had their little powwows and made decisions. Some of them I wish they didn't make. Whatever, it's not a big a deal, I suppose, because they're minions. It's their bosses that manipulated them into making these decisions with their poor level of understanding and knowledge of the world, because they hadn't gone through that particular type of thing before. So if it makes them feel better, it's not because I thought that they were, I don't think they were uh, cruel to me. It was definitely the people who were really in charge that were cruel. Um, if it makes them feel better, I actually kind of think that they're idiots. That's what I think. And I mean, if they can help me out of this situation, then that would be most appreciated. I won't forget that. Because in certain circumstances, you can forgive an idiot. Not all of them, but some of them you can. And, I don't want that to be worrisome for some people. Um, because, obviously my situation was not ideal. I could have ended up, as I refer to, Murloc, in the sewer or something like that. A disfigured mutant from X-Men or something like that. That would not have been cool. I'm not saying that because I'm predisposed to that or anything. I'm saying that because, if it wasn't for financial circumstances that I'm in, anybody could, do a tailspin and end up in a horrible place because of the severity of the treatment plan that I went through. That could happen to anyone. I don't care who the fuck people think they are and what their understanding is and all that. No, if you were in my situation and you were missing a few advantages that I had, then I really don't think you'd do better. Like I've explained, like, look, based on your knowledge of medication, things like that, simply recalibrate it to your specific situation, and let's see you do better than me. I don't think you can. I don't think most people can. And it was instilled in me long ago. Thank you, Bear Grylls. Thank you, Les Stroud, to never give up. Always keep going and always try to better your situation and, always make the best decision you possibly can at any given time. Um, it's not as easy as saying that, but you gotta try. And you know, um, with the sore throat, the removal of the sore throat would um, it would not be like a champagne bottle where it explodes and then everything happens, and then it goes anywhere. I have been consuming alcohol actually. Now speaking of champagne, not champagne though. Champagne's overpriced and is not very good actually. Um, and I notice because of the medication, I can't drink as well as I used to be able to. And also, I've developed this sort of thing where I don't look at people as I don't scrutinize them as much as I should. I really gotta work on that a bit better. Um, because yeah, that could be a neurological thing. I don't know. Hmm. Yeah. So the reason I'm saying that is um, there is a thing about involuntary celibates. I know other involuntary celibates, because they're different than me, have behaved differently because of their situation changing and things like that. Some of them crash and burn, some of them become whores. Men and women, being a whore is not restricted to that any gender. And I don't even mean men as homosexuals. I mean men who stick it to anything. And women, obviously, in all the traditional ways that they can be whores. I don't respect whores, okay? But it doesn't matter what they do for a living or who they are. Uh, I don't respect it. It's sloppy. It's disgusting, and you know, obviously, some people looking from the outside into this video are going to choose to believe what they want to believe, and I'll try my best to convince them that that's not exactly the way it is. Um, yeah, um, yeah, because the thing is, you gotta have, a real solid foundation as to how your brain works, and you have to understand that there are going to be people out there that premeditate certain social scenarios where it's impossible to predict that sort of stuff. Yet they will, you know, they'll be waiting for you, and you know, it's very confusing and it is daunting in a way. Going, I don't really know what to expect, what's going to happen or any of that sort of stuff. And you simply gotta play your cards right at the time. Um, yeah, not too paranoid about that, I suppose, but I do know there's a bunch of goons out there waiting for me, and I already don't like them. I might have a few reasons for not liking them, and there are a lot of psychotic women out there too. Don't really like psychotic women. They're not that fun. They're a bit unpleasant actually most of the time, and it was like it's like a whole other web of bullshit that I don't want to deal with. Um, of course, I want to get with some ladies, but you know, going to deal with all these sort of stupid problems. And I know that they can be mean to one another, and I don't like that either. I really don't like that. That pisses me off, as it would any male, I suppose. Um, I don't know. Don't know. Uh, I'm speculating from being inside my bubble, trying to figure out what's going on the outside with very little to go on. And, getting back to male horrors, female horrors, whatever, um, there is such a thing as having a normal sex life, and that's perfectly fine. It's not really that big an issue. I mean, obviously, it's a bit irritating for me because, I had never had any real action. I, I've only kissed one woman, Asian chick, uh, and dry humped a couple of chicks back in high school. Probably. Well, I'm 32 now, so it would have been probably about 14 years ago, I suppose. Maybe, yeah, yeah, something like that. Anyway, they were nice enough chicks. Not much happened because my mind was focused on other things at the time, like how to make money, and you know, I played a lot of StarCraft, Warcraft, Diablo, and it occupied real estate in my head as to what I was thinking. And, those were fairly typical games at the time. Um, yeah, yeah, I am definitely concerned that the wrong type of women are attracted to me. Is it, you know, is like there's so many different types of wrong people, okay? Um, like there's women with a bit of money actually, who can be problematic themselves, and you have to take factors into consideration. Like there are chicks that are really good looking, and they got problems. Uh, Whether it's a domineering personality where the social circumstances are not ideal, uh, mostly because they'll have a circle of friends around them that you ain't gonna like. Because first thing for a guy like me is that they're gonna try and exercise their authority in front of me, and I ain't putting up with that. No, after getting the shit kicked out of me for so many years by medication, uh, by probably the people I'd be talking to, no. You take your attitude and do whatever it is you do with it normally, but keep it away from me. I'm not putting up with it. It's not happening. Like I said, I actually made a video and didn't upload it, but it's on my computer. I'll upload it at some point. I made the point of saying, like, look, I will try to be friends with whatever chick's friends. I will try, but there are reasons why that is not always easy. I mean, for one thing, uh, the very unfun game of guessing what male friend she's had sexual relations with is not one to be enjoyed. That is not a fun game, especially as an involuntary celibate and never been with a chick. That's not a fun game. Yeah, and then again, obviously them flexing their muscles in front of me and blah 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 blah. Not understanding the social context of how they know me. Like, I'm not responsible for the actions of other people. And I did say earlier about how women can be bitchy to other women and how I don't like that. Not my fault. Not my fucking fault. I don't want to be blamed for that. I don't want him to go, well, it's not exactly his fault, but indirectly will, sort of get a few laughs in on at his expense. you know, directly, I'm sure indirectly through this channel and the fact that I don't know who they are, they've already done that, especially as they wanted to believe that I was the bad guy. Because it's easier to be mean to the bad guy, isn't it? You don't feel guilty about it because he's the bad guy. And it's like, hold on, you stupid cunt. You didn't get a chance to know about me. I'm not a bad guy. However, I'm going to point out every fucking time you sanctimonious cunts have been bad guys. I am going to do that. And remember, I may or may not forgive certain people for where they were stupid. Uh, you know, it all depends, really, but, you know, I do take that into consideration. Um, so yeah, you know, there are spoiled little brat girls that are used to getting everything they want their way, and it's like, yeah, that's a personality quirk that's I don't know if I'm suited for that. And I mean, you can't, you know, leave come out of the gate for say from involuntary celibate and have, you know, kind of oh, this chick's gonna have problems, that chick's gonna have problems attitude. You can't have that kind of thing. But at the same time, you can't be no goddamn fool about it. You can't assume that everything about them is exactly the way you'd want it to be. Um, you know, there has to be a balance. You don't want to go out with a snobbish chick. Uh, you don't want to go out with a chick with too many friends who's intertwined into a whole system. Um, yeah, you gotta be real careful. Um, because you don't want to be roped into a situation you don't want to be in. And you also you have to create social barriers when you exit the involuntary celibate circle of your own, so that other people don't get the wrong idea and start thinking, well, if they work hard enough and long enough at it, and because of their lack of social interactions, that they can manipulate you into whatever sort of person it is that they want you to be. And in a lot of cases, that's not a good thing. And I'm gonna make this a two-parter because I gotta use the washroom. Be right back.